Have you ever noticed how some voices they just command attention?
Hmm.
How a certain cadence or maybe a specific tone can convey instant authority or perhaps deep wisdom or even pure, unadulterated motivation.
Oh, absolutely. It's undeniable.
We're talking about those voices that really stick with you,
Yeah.
voices that make you lean in, just hanging on every single word.
There's definitely a magnetic quality to them, a kind of resonance that it goes beyond just the sound waves themselves. It's about presence, really.
Exactly, presence. And today, we're taking a deep dive into this fascinating world of vocal production.
Hmm.
Our mission. It's to explore how you can cultivate a deeper, slower, and ultimately a more resonant voice. Now, this isn't about, mimicking someone else or trying to force some unnatural sound.
No, not right.
Instead, it's about truly understanding your own unique vocal instrument and, well, unlocking its full, incredible potential. Safely and effectively, of course.
And our mission today is really to equip you, our curious listener, with a foundational understanding of the core voice mechanics. We'll get into practical techniques for vocal modification and,
Mhm.
crucially, essential insights into vocal health.
Right.
Health first.
Absolutely. By the end of this deep dive, you should have a pretty clear roadmap to developing a more impactful and, I think most importantly, an authentic voice.
Authentic, yeah.
We'll explore the science behind it, delve into the psychology, and maybe even learn a thing or two from some of the most iconic voices in history.
So let's unpack this journey. When we talk about cultivating a deeper, slower voice, it doesn't really start with a bunch of complex exercises, does it?
No, not to
It
really.
seems to start with something far more fundamental. Really getting a handle on the connection, the interplay between your breath and your voice.
That's exactly right. It's a core concept, maybe the core concept,
Hmm.
inefficient breathing patterns.
Hmm.
They're often the hidden culprit behind both that tendency to speak too quickly and that underlying laryngeal tension.
Ah, tension. Yeah, that tension can inadvertently raise your pitch. Think of it as a kind of synergistic system.
Okay.
If your breathing isn't efficient, it can actually fuel anxiety, which then makes you rush your words. And at the same time, it can tighten up your voice box, making your voice sound higher and, frankly, less impactful.
So it's all connected.
Completely. So, by mastering the physiological foundation, basically, how your voice is actually produced, we can start by calming the nervous system through better breathing.
Right.
And that, in turn, simultaneously supports a more relaxed, deeper, and more resonant voice. It's really about creating a calm, supported system from the ground up.
So it's not just about taking a massive gulp of air before you speak. It's about how you breathe and why that matters for your entire vocal system. I love that foundational idea.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine trying to play, say, a wind instrument, a saxophone, or a trumpet without a steady, controlled supply of air.
Yeah, it wouldn't work well.
It would sound strained, weak, completely lacking in power. Your voice is no different. It's an instrument, and it needs the right fuel delivered the right way.
Exactly. And to effectively modify this instrument, or maybe tune it, we first need to understand its fundamental architecture. The human voice is produced by a really complex system of coordinated structures.
Okay.
We can break it down, though, into three essential parts. You've got the power source, the vibrator, and the resonators. Each one plays a distinct yet completely interconnected role.
All right, let's start with the power source.
Yeah.
That's got to be the lungs, right? The engine driving the whole thing.
That's right. The respiratory system, especially the lungs, acts as the primary reservoir for air. Air is literally the fuel for your voice.
Okay.
The process kicks off with inhalation, filling the lungs, but the real magic, at least for speech, happens during a controlled exhalation.
Controlled, yeah?
This controlled release provides the sustained energy needed for sound production. It's not just about how much air you manage to take in, but how masterfully you let it out.
So it's just having the air, but managing its exit
Yeah.
duration.
Uh,
That makes a lot of sense.
Precisely. Without that steady, managed stream of air, your voice can sound weak or strained, maybe even biffy.
Right.
And for anyone aiming for a more deliberate pace, well, it becomes incredibly difficult to sustain longer sentences if you're constantly running out of breath. That leads to awkward pauses or just a rushed delivery.
You just try to cram it all in before you run out.
Exactly. It's truly like an engine that sputters without a consistent fuel supply. It just can't function optimally or consistently.
Okay, so once we have that controlled airflow established, where does the sound actually get made? That would be the vibrator, the vocal folds. which I think a lot of us mistakenly call vocal cords.
Yes, exactly. The larynx, or your voice box, is a highly specialized structure sitting right at the top of your windpipe. Inside it are the vocal folds, and it's really important to clarify, they're not simple cords like on a guitar.
No.
No, they're actually twin infoldings of complex layered tissue. Think layers like an onion, almost. This layered structure allows for incredible flexibility and resilience, which is absolutely essential for the demands of speech.
Complex layered tissues.
Wow. Okay, so how do these folds actually make sound from that controlled air flowing up from the lungs?
Well, when you're just breathing silently, the vocal folds stay open, letting air pass freely back and forth. But for speech, they come together, they meet at the midline.
Okay.
As air from the lungs is then pushed through this narrowed opening, we call that opening the glottis. An aerodynamic principle called the Bernoulli effect kicks in.
The Bernoulli effect
Oh, yeah.
with airplane wings.
Exactly like that. Or think about how a shower curtain gets pulled inwards when the hot water's running fast. The fast-moving air creates a low-pressure zone between the folds, which actually pulls them together.
Huh. It pulls them together?
Yes. Then the air pressure from your lungs builds up underneath them and forces them apart again. This rapid, cyclical sequence of opening and closing chops that steady airstream into quick puffs of air. And that creates the initial raw, buzzy sound.
Wow.
And it's an intricate dance. Even tiny changes at a microscopic level within those tissue layers can drastically alter the final sound you produce. So that raw, buzzy sound, that isn't the voice we actually hear people using, right? It needs some shaping, some refinement. That's where the resonators come in the vocal tract.
Indeed. That initial buzzy sound from the vocal folds is actually quite weak and thin on its own. It gains its characteristic richness, its timbre, and its volume as it travels up through and is shaped by your vocal tract.
This includes?
That includes your pharynx, which is basically your throat, your oral cavity, your mouth, and your nasal passages.
Okay.
These structures act sort of like the body of a guitar or a violin. The strings produce a basic sound, but it's the instrument's body that amplifies and filters it, giving it its unique quality, its warmth, its color.
So an individual's unique voice quality really comes from their unique vocal tract, almost like a fingerprint for sound. That's a really powerful idea.
Precisely. The unique size and shape of your vocal tract are what give your voice its distinct quality. And what's crucial to understand here is that by learning to modify the shape and openness of these resonating cavities, your throat, your mouth, you can significantly alter the final quality of your voice.
How so?
You can make it sound fuller, more powerful without adding any extra strain down at the level of the vocal folds themselves. This is a key insight for cultivating depth. It's about working with your instrument intelligently.
That's truly a game changer. It's about working with your body, not fighting against it to achieve that depth. Okay, now let's talk about the science of pitch and resonance. These two terms get thrown around a lot, often, interchangeably, but they're actually quite different concepts, aren't they?
They absolutely are, and understanding this distinction is critical. It's really fundamental. Pitch is essentially what we perceive as how high or low a sound is.
Right.
And it's primarily determined by the physical characteristics and the current state of your vocal folds, specifically how fast they are vibrating.
Okay, so what factors actually control that speed? How fast those vocal folds vibrate?
There are three main factors governing their vibration speed. First, their length. Generally speaking, longer vocal folds vibrate more slowly, which produces a lower pitch. Think thicker guitar strings.
Makes sense.
Second, their mass or thickness. Thicker, heavier folds have more inertia, so they also tend to vibrate more slowly, again resulting in a lower pitch.
Okay. Length and mass.
And third, tension. Tighter, more stretched vocal folds vibrate more rapidly, producing a higher pitch. Think tightening a guitar string.
Right, the pitch goes up.
These factors are controlled by tiny, intricate muscles within the larynx itself. For instance, some muscles stretch your vocal folds to create a higher pitch, while others can shorten them to lower the pitch, or even stiffen them, which can also raise it depending on how they interact. This just highlights that pitch modification is a trainable skill within your natural, healthy range, of course.
So it's a delicate balance of these internal mechanics. But you mentioned resonance is different from pitch. Why is that distinction so crucial for someone who's looking to deepen their voice?
It's absolutely critical because focusing solely on lowering your pitch can be, well, counterproductive and potentially even harmful. Pitch is the raw frequency, the basic note generated by the vocal folds.
Okay.
Resonance, on the other hand, is the quality, the richness, the timbre of that sound after it has been amplified and shaped by your vocal tract, your throat, mouth, and nasal cavities.
Ah, the amplification part.
Yes. Think of it this way. A low pitch without adequate resonance can actually sound weak or muffled or even dip into what we call vocal fry, that creaky, often unsupported sound you sometimes hear.
Right, I know that sound.
But a voice with good resonance, regardless of its fundamental pitch, is perceived as full, confident, and authoritative. So effective voice deepening really focuses on cultivating resonance. You can often feel it as a physical vibration, maybe in your chest or your
Like a
face.
buzzing.
Exactly. Think of a powerful bass drum that's resonance versus a high-pitched whistle that's pitch. Both have very different impact. You don't just want a low pitch. You want a rich, resonant low pitch.
That distinction really clears things up. You don't just want a low note. You want a rich, full sound
Oh.
at that low note. Okay, now let's throw another term into the mix. Subglottal pressure. How does that play into all of this, especially for someone trying to speak more loudly or powerfully?
Right, subglottal pressure. That's simply the air pressure that builds up beneath your vocal folds just before you start to speak or sing. It's definitely necessary to increase vocal loudness. You need that pressure to force the vocal folds to blow further apart during their vibration cycle.
Okay, so more pressure, louder sound. Seems logical.
It does, but here's the core paradox, the tricky part. Increasing subglottal pressure also naturally causes the vocal folds to vibrate more rapidly,
Oh.
which in turn raises your vocal pitch.
Wait, hang on. So if I push harder for a louder, deeper voice, I could actually make it sound higher pitched. That seems completely backwards.
It is counterintuitive, isn't it? And it's the physiological challenge that trips many people up. The natural tendency when trying to speak more loudly or powerfully is to increase effort, to push.
Yeah.
That raises subglottal pressure and inadvertently raises the pitch the exact opposite of what you want if you're aiming for a deeper voice. The real art lies in generating that fullness and power through efficient resonance, not brute force.
How do you do that?
Masterful speakers learn to use their entire vocal tract, the throat and mouth cavities, as an amplifier. This allows them to produce a strong, resonant sound without resorting to that excessive subglottal pressure that would force their pitch higher.
Oh.
This explains why simply pushing for a deeper voice often fails, and worse, can lead to vocal strain. The goal isn't just a low pitch or fundamental frequency of zero, it's a highly resonant F0 that feels easy and effortless to produce.
That's such a crucial insight for our listeners. Don't just push harder from the throat. So if we can't just rely on brute force, what's the real engine's fuel for this resonant voice? It seems like we always come back to breath, specifically mastering diaphragmatic breathing.
Absolutely. We keep coming back to it because it's foundational. Diaphragmatic breathing is, without a doubt, the single most important skill for achieving control over both your vocal pace and your depth. It's the absolute bedrock upon which all other effective vocal techniques are built, mainly because it provides a steady, relaxed source of power for your voice.
Okay, tell us a bit more about the physiology of that. How does the diaphragm actually work, and why is it so much better than, say, just breathing with your chest?
Sure. The diaphragm is your primary muscle of inhalation. It's a large, dome-shaped muscle located right at the base of your chest cavity, separating your chest from your abdomen. During a proper inhalation, it contracts and moves downward, pulling the base of your lungs down with it. This action significantly increases the vertical volume of your chest cavity, which creates a negative pressure, sort of like a vacuum, that draws air deep into the lower parts of your lungs. It's an incredibly efficient way to breathe, allowing you to take in more air with less physical effort.
Okay, so deep breath, diaphragm moves down, air comes in deep. But a lot of people, myself included sometimes, tend to breathe shallowly, right? The chest breathers.
That's the critical difference, yes, and it impacts absolutely everything vocally. Many individuals default to what's known as clavicular or chest breathing. The shallow pattern relies more on the intercostal muscles between the ribs and even accessory muscles in the neck and shoulders to lift the rib cage up and out.
Okay.
This type of breath only partially fills the lungs, usually just the upper portion. It provides a weak and often unsteady air supply for your voice, but most crucially, it tends to introduce tension into your neck and throat area.
Ah, there's that tension again.
Exactly. And that's the very area that must remain relaxed and open for a deep, resonant vocal tone. In stark contrast, diaphragmatic breathing is deep, it's efficient, it actually promotes relaxation throughout the upper body, and it provides a stable, powerful column of air to support your voice. So if you ever feel tension in your neck or throat when you speak, it's really worth exploring if you are unconsciously relying on that less efficient chest breathing pattern.
I think many of us probably are without even realizing it. And that connection to tension is really key. You also mentioned breath support earlier. That sounds like more than just breathing in, doesn't it? It implies an active, ongoing process.
It absolutely does. Breath support isn't just about the inhale, it's the dynamic process of managing the controlled release of air during speech or singing. This control is achieved through a coordinated interplay, a kind of gentle antagonism between the muscles of inhalation, like the diaphragm, and the muscles of exhalation, primarily your abdominal muscles.
How does that work?
Okay, so after you take that deep diaphragmatic inhalation, your abdominal muscles engage gently to provide a steady upward pressure against the relaxing diaphragm. This action regulates the rate at which air is expelled from the lungs, creating a consistent, pressurized airstream for your vocal folds to ride on.
Like controlling the flow.
Precisely. This steady support is what allows you to sustain long phrases without running out of breath, maintain a consistent and relaxed pitch, and project your voice powerfully and clearly without straining your throat. It's the physiological key to both achieving a measured pace and developing a resonant, deep tone.
That's a huge takeaway for our listeners.
Yeah.
It's not just about taking the breath, but how you use it, how you manage that exhale. Okay, now let's shift gears a bit, moving from the mechanics to the mind, and talk about the art of achieving a deliberate pace. It sounds like slowing down your speech isn't just a physical adjustment. It's actually deeply psychological.
It truly is. Slowing down your speech is often less about a simple mechanical adjustment and more a reflection of your internal state, your confidence, and your perceived authority. Rapid speech, more often than not, is a symptom of underlying psychological pressures.
Like what kind of pressures?
Things like anxiety, a deep-seated fear of silence, or maybe a perceived need to rush just to keep a listener's attention. Therefore, achieving a naturally deliberate pace really requires a fundamental shift in mindset.
The shift from what to what?
A shift from, say, seeking approval to focusing on delivering value, and a shift from fearing silence to actually learning how to wield it as a powerful rhetorical tool.
Okay, so we need to identify those psychological triggers for fast speech first. What are some of those common culprits that lead us to rush our words, maybe without even realizing it?
Well, fast speech is frequently driven by plain old nervousness or fear of judgment. This can create a kind of panicky feeling, a haste, an urge to just get it over with quickly to escape the perceived scrutiny.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
Another major factor is what some call a fear of silence. This is where the speaker feels an almost compulsive need to fill every single moment with sound, fearing that any pause will be interpreted as uncertainty, or that it will allow the listener to lose interest, or maybe even interrupt. That feeling of being under constant time pressure, even if it's self-imposed, is a significant contributor to a rushed delivery. Have you ever felt that urge to speed up when you're nervous or anxious? You're definitely not alone in that.
All the time. It's so relatable, it feels like you have to keep talking or you'll lose them. So how do we start to counter those triggers and build a more confident mindset, one that actually allows for a slower, more deliberate pace?
Counteracting these psychological triggers really requires employing some cognitive strategies, tools aimed at building internal confidence and reframing the speaking situation. One effective method is the use of positive affirmations.
Like telling yourself,
Yeah, literally repeating phrases like, I have valuable things to say, or I can speak clearly and slowly to cultivate a more positive and capable mindset. But perhaps even more crucial is a mental shift that involves focusing on the value of the message you're delivering, rather than constantly seeking the listener's approval or worrying about judgment.
how does that help?
It reframes the act of speaking. It's not a performance to be judged anymore. It becomes an act of sharing valuable information or ideas. This redirects your attention away from fear and towards the goal of effective communication. And, of course, as we often say, thorough preparation and really knowing your topic significantly boosts self-confidence, which naturally reduces the anxiety that leads to rapid speech.
I love that idea of reframing. It's about shifting your internal narrative, recognizing that your value isn't tied to how fast you can spit out words. And there's an interesting technique mentioned in the research called the alter ego technique that can help with this. How does that work exactly?
The alter ego technique is quite fascinating. It basically involves consciously channeling a confident persona. For individuals who find it particularly difficult to overcome deeply ingrained fears or self-limiting beliefs about their speaking abilities, this technique allows you to sort of bypass your own inner critic
Oh,
by consciously stepping into the role of a confident communicator. Maybe it's someone you admire, maybe it's an imagined, more confident version of yourself. You can more easily embody the desired vocal and physical attributes of a powerful speaker. Imagine literally putting on a confident speaker hat before a big meeting or presentation. This mental framework can make it much easier to adopt new behaviors like speaking slowly and deliberately simply by stepping into a different, more empowered role for that specific situation.
that's a fantastic mental hack, almost like acting, but for yourself. Useful for those moments when you really need to switch gears. Okay, moving on slightly. Let's talk about the power of the pause. So often we see silence as just empty space, something awkward to be filled, but you're saying it's actually a powerful communication tool. Can you elaborate on that?
It absolutely is. In communication, silence is not an absence of meaning. It's a powerful tool for creating meaning. Learning to embrace and strategically deploy pauses is honestly one of the most effective ways to control your pace, enhance the clarity of your message, and project authority and confidence. It's a deliberate act, not just an accidental gap in your speech.
So what are the strategic functions of silence? How does it actually work to enhance communication when used deliberately?
Strategic pauses serve several critical functions. First, and maybe most practically, they give the audience time to process and absorb important points. This prevents cognitive overload, especially when you're discussing complex ideas.
Okay, listener processing time.
Second, a well-placed pause, either just before or just after a key statement, adds immense weight and emphasis. It signals to the listener, pay attention, this part is important.
Highlighting key info.
Exactly.
Mm.
Furthermore, a speaker who is comfortable with silence naturally appears more composed, confident, and in control. Contrast that with someone who rushes to fill every second, they can often seem nervous or insecure. A well-placed pause can genuinely make your words resonate longer and deeper, truly impacting your audience and making them feel the significance of what you're saying.
I can feel the impact of that just listening to you explain it. It really does draw you in. So what are some practical techniques for incorporating pauses more naturally and effectively into our everyday speech? It can feel awkward at first.
It can. To cultivate the habit of pausing effectively, you can try several methods. When preparing a speech or presentation, literally write prompts like pause or maybe just breathe into your notes or script. This helps build the motor plan, the habit for pausing, until it becomes more automatic.
Physical reminders.
Another simple and very socially acceptable way to create natural pauses is to keep a water bottle nearby and take occasional deliberate sips. It gives you a moment to breathe and regroup.
The water bottle prop. Clever.
You can also practice pausing not only at the end of sentences, but momentarily between related thoughts or phrases within a sentence. These little micropauses slow the overall tempo and significantly improve comprehension for the listener. And finally, especially in presentations or meetings, asking the audience questions between topics is a natural way to build regular pauses into your delivery while also engaging them.
Brilliant. Those are really actionable strategies anyone can try. Now let's connect this to articulatory precision. How does focusing on improving the clarity of your speech directly lead to slower speech and overall better vocal impact?
There's a very direct and almost unavoidable link between enunciation and pace. When you consciously concentrate on enunciating each word properly, giving each sound, each syllable its full value, your rate of speech automatically naturally slows down.
Why is that?
Because rushed speech often leads to slurred words and mumbled messages. Your articulators, that's your tongue, lips, and jaw, simply don't have sufficient time to move accurately to their target positions for each distinct sound when you're speaking too quickly.
Like tripping over your words.
Exactly. Think of trying to read a complex piece of text out loud very quickly. You'd likely stumble and miss words. Your articulators need that fraction of a second to get into place. By prioritizing clear pronunciation over sheer speed, you're essentially forced to give each syllable its due, resulting in a more deliberate, more understandable, and ultimately more impactful delivery.
So clarity directly dictates pace.
Oh.
Makes perfect sense. And there are specific articulation drills we can use to strengthen those speech muscles, right? It's like taking your mouth to the gym.
Absolutely. The muscles of your mouth, tongue, and jaw can definitely be strengthened and coordinated through regular practice, just like any other muscle group in your body. Tongue twisters are a classic and highly effective tool for this.
Which ones work well?
Regularly practicing phrases like red leather, yellow leather, or the famous Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, really strengthens the tongue and improves its ability to make rapid, accurate, and distinct movements.
Okay, tongue twisters. What else?
Another highly recommended practice is simply to read a text. It could be from a book, a newspaper, an online article out loud for maybe 15 to 20 minutes each day. This exercise builds vocal stamina, it improves your breath control naturally, and it encourages a steady, articulate pace, especially when you consciously focus on speaking clearly and smoothly.
And how do we know if we're actually improving? How can we catch those moments where we might still be rushing or slurring words without realizing it?
Well, the most critical tool for improvement here is objective feedback. Recording yourself speaking, maybe on your phone, and then listening back critically is an invaluable method.
Listening to yourself. Ugh.
I know, it can be tough. But it allows you to identify your own pacing issues, spots where you might slur words, or moments where you tend to rush your speech. This self-assessment allows for really targeted practice to correct those specific habits. That feedback loop record, listen, adjust, practice is truly invaluable for your improvement. It gives you direct insight into what you actually sound like versus what you think you sound like, and what needs refinement.
Okay, record and listen. Got it. So we've covered the mechanics of the voice, the psychology of pacing. Now we move into the actual cultivation of vocal depth through safe practice and integration. This is where we get into the specific exercises, but first things first. Vocal health has to be paramount, right? We can't just dive into exercises without protecting our instrument.
Absolutely paramount. Healthy habits are the essential prerequisite before engaging in any vocal exercises. It's all about protecting your instrument and ensuring longevity. We don't want to cause harm. First on the list is hydration.
Water, water, water.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Your vocal folds need proper lubrication to vibrate efficiently and without unnecessary friction. Dehydration can lead to dryness, irritation, and an increased risk of strain or injury. The general recommendation is to drink ample water throughout the day. Aim for at least 8 glasses, maybe more if you're active or in a dry climate.
Any other hydration tips?
Using a humidifier in dry environments, especially during winter when heating systems dry out the air, can make a big difference. Also, be mindful of your intake of caffeine and alcohol, as both have a dehydrating effect on the body, including the vocal folds. Moderation is key.
Okay, hydration. And posture, of course, we touched on it with breathing, but it plays a huge role in supporting the voice generally, doesn't it?
Yes, good posture is really non-negotiable for efficient and healthy voice production. Think of maintaining a straight but relaxed spine, keeping your shoulders back and down, not hunched up, and your chin level with the floor.
Why is that specific posture important?
This alignment allows your diaphragm to expand to its full capacity for deep, easy breathing. Slouching, conversely, compresses the chest cavity, physically restricts diaphragmatic movement, and almost always leads to compensatory tension in the neck and shoulders. And that tension, as we've said, directly inhibits relaxed vocal fold vibration and makes achieving a deep, resonant tone much harder. Think of yourself as a finely tuned instrument. You need to be held correctly to produce your best, most resonant sound.
Good analogy. Any other lifestyle tips we should be aware of for maintaining optimal vocal health?
Definitely. Certain lifestyle choices matter significantly. It probably goes without saying, but avoid smoking and exposure to secondhand smoke. They are highly irritating and damaging to the vocal tissues and a primary cause of serious vocal issues, including cancer.
Absolutely.
Also, be mindful of consuming very spicy foods, especially close to bedtime, as they can trigger gastroesophageal reflux disease, or GERD. That's where stomach acid comes up and irritates the throat and larynx, leading to hoarseness and discomfort.
That reflux, yeah.
And finally, never underestimate the power of adequate rest. Physical fatigue directly affects your voice, making it weaker, less resilient, and more prone to strain. Your vocal folds need time to recover, just like any other muscle. And before any exercises or extensive voice use, always do some gentle vocal warm-ups.
Like stretching before exercise.
Precisely. Just like an athlete stretches before a workout, your voice needs preparation. Gentle humming, maybe some lip trills like we'll discuss, are ideal for preparing the muscles, increasing blood circulation to the area, and reducing the risk of strain. 5 minutes can make a huge difference.
Great advice for daily life, not just for specific practice. Okay, now let's get into those core exercises for breath support and control. These are really about building the engine of the voice, aren't they? Giving us that strong, steady air supply we need.
They absolutely are. These exercises are specifically designed to develop that powerful, controlled, and supported breath stream that's necessary for a deep, resonant tone. They ensure you have the fuel you need for sustained, deliberate speech without running out of steam or creating tension.
Okay, tell us about the first one, foundational diaphragmatic breathing. How do we start truly mastering this fundamental skill?
All right, for exercise one, foundational diaphragmatic breathing, the easiest way to start is often lying down. Lie on your back on a firm surface like the floor with your knees bent and feet flat. Place one hand gently on your upper chest and the other hand on your abdomen just below your rib cage.
Okay, hands in place.
Now, inhale slowly and deeply through your nose. As you inhale, consciously aim to feel the hand on your abdomen rise significantly while the hand on your chest remains as still as possible. This confirms that your diaphragm is contracting downward and drawing air deep into the lower lungs.
Belly rises, chest stays still.
Got it. Then, exhale slowly and smoothly through pursed lips, as if you were gently blowing out a candle. Feel your abdomen fall naturally as you gently engage your abdominal muscles to control the exhale. Practice this for about 5 minutes daily, really focusing on achieving a smooth, relaxed, and even rhythm. This builds the crucial muscle memory for proper breathing.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Lying down seems like a good way to isolate the movement. And the 4-7-8 technique, I've definitely heard of that for relaxation, but how does it specifically help with vocal control?
Exercise 2. The 4-7-8 technique is excellent, yes, primarily for calming the nervous system, but that calm state directly benefits vocal control. It also helps develop conscious control over your entire breath cycle, inhale, hold, exhale, which directly impacts your ability to speak slowly, deliberately, and with support.
How do we do it?
Sit comfortably with your back straight. First, exhale completely through your mouth, making a gentle whoosh sound to empty your lungs. Then, close your mouth and inhale quietly through your nose to a mental count of 4. Hold your breath gently for a count of 7. Finally, exhale completely through your mouth, again making that whoosh sound to a count of 8. That entire sequence is one breath cycle. Repeat it just 3 more times initially. This practice builds breath-holding capacity and conscious regulation of your airflow.
4 in, hold 7, 8 out. Okay. And finally, the controlled hiss or flow phonation. What does this specific exercise teach us about breath support?
For exercise 3, controlled hiss flow phonation, you start with a comfortable, deep, diaphragmatic breath. Then you exhale on a sustained, quiet sound, like a slow, steady leak from a bicycle tire. The goal here is to make that sus sound as long, as steady, and as consistent in volume as possible without any wavering or running out of air abruptly at the end.
How do you know if it's steady?
For visual feedback, you can hold a thin strip of tissue paper about 6 inches in front of your mouth. As you hiss, aim to keep the tissue fluttering at a constant angle. If it's flapping wildly or dropping, your airflow isn't steady. This exercise builds incredibly fine control over your exhalation rate, which is absolutely crucial for sustaining phrases smoothly and maintaining a steady, supported vocal tone.
Those are great foundational exercises for the engine of the voice, the breath. Now let's talk about shaping the sound itself. Foundational exercises for exploring pitch and developing resonance. We're aiming to explore our lower range here, but always safely and effectively.
Yes, exactly. Once that solid breath support is established, these exercises help you safely explore the lower part of your natural vocal register and develop a richer, more resonant tone quality. The absolute focus always must be on ease and relaxation. We are never forcing or pushing the voice downwards. We're gently expanding your natural capabilities, not trying to create an artificial, strained sound.
Safety first. So humming is first on the list. How does this seemingly simple exercise contribute to achieving a deeper, more resonant voice?
Humming is fantastic. For exercise 1, humming, first ensure your jaws relax, maybe let it hang slightly open and your lips are just gently touching. Take an easy diaphragmatic breath. On the exhale, produce a gentle, easy sound. Try humming a simple 5-tone scale, starting at a comfortable pitch in your mid-range and then descending smoothly, note by note.
Where should we feel it?
Place one hand on your chest and perhaps lightly touch your fingers to your nose and lips. The goal is to feel for vibrations, a gentle buzzing sensation in these areas. Try to maximize this buzzing, especially in the chest as you go lower. Humming is one of the safest and most effective warm-ups because it encourages that forward resonance in the face and gently engages both the vocal folds and the resonators without strain.
Okay, humming for resonance. Then we have lip and tongue trills, sometimes called bubbles or raspberries. These sound like fun, maybe even a bit silly, but what's their real vocal purpose?
They might feel silly, but exercise 2. Lip and tongue trills are incredibly beneficial. They are excellent for relaxing the larynx, reducing excess vocal tension, and coordinating your breath flow smoothly with phonation. making sound. For lip trills, relax your lips completely and blow air through them to create that fluttering motorboat or raspberry sound. Brrr! It should feel easy and consistent. Practice sliding your pitch up and down your comfortable range while maintaining that easy trill.
And tongue trills.
For tongue trills, place the tip of your tongue lightly on the roof of your mouth just behind your top teeth, the alveolar ridge, and produce a rolled r sound like in Spanish. Again, practice sustaining the trill while gliding your pitch up and down. Both of these exercises promote balanced air pressure and a relaxed, open vocal tract, which is the ideal state for accessing depth and resonance easily.
Straw phonation sounds intriguing. I've heard voice therapists mention this as a really powerful tool. How does humming through a straw help?
Exercise 3. Straw phonation is indeed a cornerstone of modern voice therapy and training. It falls under the category of semi-occluded vocal tract SOVT exercises, which basically means partially blocking the vocal tract opening. It's incredibly effective because it helps achieve strong, efficient vocal fold vibration with minimal impact, stress, and strain.
How do we do it?
Simply take a standard drinking straw. Hum a sustained note, maybe an ooh sound into the straw. You should feel the sound and vibration really focused at the end of the straw. For an added effect and even more benefit, you can place the other end of the straw into a glass with a few inches of water and gently blow bubbles while humming.
What does the water do?
The resistance created by the narrow straw, and especially by the water, creates a back pressure of air in your vocal tract. This encourages steady airflow from your lungs and promotes balanced, efficient closure of your vocal folds. It's fantastic for producing a rich, resonant sound safely and efficiently.
Okay, straw phonation for efficiency. Next up, descending sirens or pitch glides. How do these specifically help expand our vocal range downwards without forcing?
For exercise 4, descending sirens pitch glides, start on a relaxed vowel sound like ooh or ooh at a comfortable note somewhere in your mid-range. Then, slowly and smoothly glide your voice downwards like a siren winding down to the lowest comfortable note you can produce without straining or breaking into that rough vocal fry quality. Then, just as smoothly, glide back up to the starting note. The sound should be continuous and easy, like an ambulance siren in slow motion.
What's the benefit?
This exercise gently stretches and essentially massages the vocal folds, helping them to lengthen slightly and access the lower part of your vocal range smoothly and with ease.
It encourages flexibility.
And vocal fry. That sometimes gets a bad rap in everyday speech. People associate it with being lazy or bored. But it's listed here as a beneficial exercise. That seems counterintuitive again. It does, and it's really important to clarify its specific, limited use as an exercise. Exercise 5. Vocal fry refers to the lowest vocal register, characterized by that slow, popping, creaky sound. When used consciously and briefly as a controlled exercise, it can actually be very helpful for relaxing the throat muscles and identifying the very bottom limit of one's pitch range. It shows you where your voice naturally stops vibrating in a full way.
So how do you do it safely as an exercise?
Take a very small, gentle breath. You barely need any air. On a relaxed ah sound, simply allow your voice to relax completely and drop to its lowest possible pitch, letting it naturally fall into that creaky quality. It should feel effortless, done with minimal airflow and absolutely no pushing or conscious effort. It's a state of extreme laryngeal relaxation.
So, okay for finding the bottom, but not for talking.
Precisely. While it's a useful diagnostic exercise to find the bottom of your range and encourage relaxation, its habitual use in everyday speech can certainly be perceived negatively, often indicating lack of energy or confidence. So the key distinction is controlled, brief exercise versus habitual speech pattern.
Got it. And finally, chest resonance chanting. This sounds like it directly targets that rich, authoritative, boomy quality we often associate with a deeper voice.
It does. Exercise 6. Chest resonance chanting is designed to build your awareness and control over chest resonance, which is a key component of that deep, authoritative sound quality. Place a hand flat on your upper chest over your sternum. Take an easy diaphragmatic breath, and on a low, comfortable pitch that feels natural for you, chant resonant vowel sounds like oh, ah, and ah.
What should we be focusing on?
Focus intently on feeling a distinct vibration or buzz underneath your hand. Experiment slightly with the openness of your throat or small adjustments in posture to see if you can maximize this physical sensation of resonance in your chest. This exercise directly builds that mind-body connection, teaching you to feel and enhance the vibrations that create a fuller, deeper sound.
That's a really comprehensive set of exercises, covering breath, pitch, and resonance. But now, the crucial part. How do we integrate this new way of speaking, this potentially new voice, into our everyday lives? Making it feel natural and effortless is the ultimate goal, isn't it?
Exactly. That transition from doing isolated exercises in a practice room to using these skills naturally and automatically in everyday speech is a critical step. And it requires patience, consistency, and a structured approach. It's definitely not an overnight transformation.
So a gradual approach is key then. We probably shouldn't just try to use our new deep voice all day, every day, right from the start.
Absolutely not. That's a common mistake. Attempting to use a newly developed vocal placement or deeper resonance pattern constantly, right off the bat, is usually a recipe for vocal fatigue, muscle strain, and a quick reversion back to your old ingrained habits. The process really must be gradual.
How gradual?
Start by consciously using your deeper, more resonant voice, focusing on ease and breath support for short, low stakes activities. Maybe reading aloud to yourself for a few minutes or perhaps talking to your pet.
Okay, low pressure situation.
Exactly. As this starts to feel more comfortable and less effortful, gradually extend its use. Try it for short phone calls with people you know well or brief conversations with trusted friends. You're progressively building vocal endurance and making the new pattern more automatic. Remember, this is a marathon, not a sprint, for both your vocal muscles and your neurological habits.
And should you try to focus on everything at once? Juggling the diaphragmatic breath, the lower pitch, the resonance, the slower pace, trying to keep all those balls in the air simultaneously.
No, that's generally not advisable, especially early on. Trying to simultaneously manage breath, pitch, resonance, and pace can be incredibly overwhelming and often counterproductive. You end up doing none of them well. A much more effective strategy is to focus on integrating just one skill element at a time.
Like focusing on just breathing for a while.
Precisely. For example, you might decide to spend an entire week concentrating solely on consciously using diaphragmatic breathing during all your conversations without worrying too much about pitch or pace yet. Once that feels more automatic, maybe the following week, your focus could shift to consciously incorporating more strategic pauses into your speech while still maintaining that deep breathing habit you practiced the week before. This layered approach allows each new skill to become more ingrained and less effortful before you add another level of complexity.
That makes so much sense. One step at a time, building a strong foundation without getting overwhelmed. And to help with that, we have a suggested daily regimen our listeners can follow, a clear, actionable framework for daily practice.
Yes, exactly. Having a structured routine can be very helpful. Here's a breakdown of a recommended daily vocal development regimen, designed to be both effective and manageable in terms of time. First, your warm-up. Start with a gentle yawn sigh for maybe 5 to 10 repetitions. The real purpose here is just to relax the larynx and open the back of your throat. Focus on feeling the larynx drop naturally and sensing that openness, releasing any stored tension.
Okay, yawn sigh.
Follow this with lip trills for about 2 to 3 minutes. As we discussed, this helps coordinate breath and phonation smoothly. The key focus is maintaining a steady, easy buzz while sliding your pitch gently up and down your comfortable range, keeping everything feeling relaxed and easy.
Warm up, done. Then the core work.
Right, for core practice, dedicate about 5 minutes to foundational diaphragmatic breathing. This reinforces your foundational breath support. Remember the goal. The belly rises easily on the inhale, while the chest and shoulders remain relatively still and relaxed.
Breathing first.
Then, move to straw phonation for maybe 3 minutes. This promotes efficient vocal fold vibration without strain. Hum gently into a straw, ideally into water, to get that back pressure feedback with the bubbles. Aim for steady, easy bubbles without forcing the sound. This ensures you're producing sound efficiently.
We're on next.
Next, spend about 5 minutes on humming descending scales. This helps develop comfort in your lower register and cultivates that feeling of chest resonance. Really focus on feeling a distinct buzzing sensation in your lips, face, and particularly your upper chest as you hum down into your lower range.
Okay, core practice covered. What about pacing?
And finally, for pace practice, dedicate around 15 minutes to simply reading aloud from any text, a book, an article, anything. This is crucial for improving clarity, articulation, and establishing a more deliberate pace. Consciously concentrate on enunciating every word clearly and honoring punctuation by pausing naturally. This provides a clear, actionable framework for your daily practice, helping you build these habits slowly, safely, and surely.
That's a solid, comprehensive routine anyone could integrate.
Fantastic. Now let's move into something really interesting, our masterclass, learning from the legends. The idea here isn't about imitating them, right? It's more about understanding the underlying principles they use so we can apply them to develop our own authentic voice.
Absolutely. That's the perfect way to frame it. The art of a deeper voice, or really any impactful voice, isn't merely about achieving a low fundamental frequency or pitch. It's about the masterful integration of pitch, pace, resonance, clarity, and even emotional intent to create a specific desired effect on the listener.
Okay.
By analyzing the voices of iconic speakers, people whose voices we instinctively recognize and respond to, we can deconstruct the different paths they took to achieve vocal excellence. The ultimate goal, as you said, is not imitation. Trying to sound exactly like James Earl Jones is likely impossible and probably unhealthy for most people. Instead, it's about developing your authentic voice by leveraging the principles these masters exemplify. We're looking for transferable wisdom, not just a sound to copy. And who better to start with for that deep, resonant sound than James Earl Jones? He is the quintessential voice of authority. When we hear him speak, what exactly are we hearing in terms of his vocal prowess that makes him so impactful?
James Earl Jones's voice is perhaps the ultimate auditory example of vocal authority. It's defined by its profound depth and an almost palpable sense of gravitas. Technically, he possesses a true basso profondo or contrabass voice, which is the lowest of the standard male voice types. His average speaking pitch is remarkably low.
How low?
Studies have placed it around 85 hertz, which is significantly below the typical male average of roughly 110 to 130 hertz. But crucially, his incredibly low pitch alone isn't the sole source of his power. His voice is characterized by an extraordinary degree of chest resonance.
That resonance again?
Yes, that resonance gives his voice that rich, room-filling quality without any hint of strain or pushing. It's this resonance that transforms a simple low note into a commanding presence, making every word he utters feel weighty, important, almost inevitable.
And his pace and pausing are just legendary. He doesn't rush, ever. Feels like he has all the time in the world.
Absolutely. Jones is a true master of the deliberate, almost stately pace. He uses silence and pauses strategically and masterfully to lend immense weight and significance to his words. Think about his iconic delivery of lines like, "Luke, I am your father." That line is defined as much by the pregnant pauses surrounding the words as by the deep tone of the words themselves. Those pauses allow the listener to feel the full impact, the shock, the revelation. This unhurried delivery conveys supreme confidence and absolute control. He gives every single word its full due, and every pause serves to amplify its meaning.
What's truly remarkable and perhaps most inspiring about James Earl Jones is his personal journey. He wasn't always this masterful, commanding speaker, was he? This seems like a truly profound insight into how he developed that command voice.
This is where his story becomes incredibly powerful and deeply instructive for anyone working on their voice. A crucial element underpinning Jones's vocal mastery stems directly from his personal history. As a child, he suffered from a debilitatingly severe stutter. It was so bad that it led him to be functionally mute for approximately 8 years of his childhood.
8 years, wow.
Yes. This profound challenge forced him, out of necessity, to develop an incredibly deep and analytical relationship with language itself. To overcome his stutter, he had to meticulously analyze the meaning, the rhythm, the sound, the very mechanics of every single word he attempted to speak. This intense, prolonged focus resulted in the exceptionally clear, controlled, and deeply meaningful delivery that eventually became his unmistakable trademark.
Yeah.
His voice isn't just deep, it's profoundly intentional, born from overcoming a significant challenge through meticulous vocal awareness and practice. It's an amazing testament.
That's an absolutely incredible story, turning such a significant challenge into a unique strength and ultimately an unparalleled vocal presence. Okay, next let's deconstruct Morgan Freeman's technique. He's often called the voice of wisdom or the ultimate narrator. What's his secret to that incredibly calm, reassuring, trustworthy tone?
Morgan Freeman's voice is almost universally synonymous with wisdom, trustworthiness, and a calm, comforting authority. If you dig into his approach, the core of his vocal technique seems to center on the systematic elimination of unnecessary tension.
How so?
Well, in interviews, he has frequently advised aspiring speakers or actors to simply yawn a lot. Yawning, as we know, is your body's natural mechanism for releasing tension in the jaw, the throat, and the larynx itself. It also naturally lifts the soft palate at the back of your mouth. This overall relaxation allows the voice to settle easily into its natural lower pitch range without being constricted or held back by tight muscles. His characteristically smooth, warm, mellifluous tone is very likely a direct result of this fundamentally relaxed, open-throated approach. It sounds effortless because, in a way, it's achieved by removing effort and tension, not by adding it.
He also has that incredibly unhurried, almost hypnotic narrative pace that just draws you right in. It feels very intimate, like he's sharing a secret or a profound truth just with you.
He absolutely does. Freeman typically employs a deliberately unhurried narrative pace. Think of his documentary narrations. It's often around 30 words per minute, which is quite slow.
Hmm.
This calm, measured delivery is key to drawing the listener in, creating that sense of intimacy and immense credibility. It feels like he's speaking directly and honestly to you. Interestingly, his physical delivery is often quite minimal as well, with relatively little facial movement. This allows the inherent richness and warmth of his voice to carry the full weight of the message without any physical distractions.
And like Jones, it seems his voice, while it feels so incredibly natural and effortless now, is also partly a product of formal training. So even these seemingly natural gifts often benefit from discipline and technique.
Exactly. Natural talent is one thing, but honing it is another. Freeman himself has credited a voice and diction instructor he had back at Los Angeles City College for teaching him the fundamental importance of clear articulation, specifically, as he put it, to sound your final consonants.
Ah, the clarity again.
Yes, this underlying attention to precise diction ensures that even though his delivery is relaxed and relatively low-pitched, it remains exceptionally clear and easily understandable. This clarity is absolutely crucial to his effectiveness as a narrator and actor. It really shows that even a naturally gifted and beautiful voice benefits immensely from understanding and consciously applying sound technical principles. Relaxation plus clarity is a powerful combination.
Absolutely. Okay, so from the gravitas of Jones and the wisdom of Freeman, let's move to a different kind of vocal power, dynamic energy with Tony Robbins. He's certainly not known for a static low tone, is he? His impact feels very different, much more energetic and variable.
No, Tony Robbins is a perfect example demonstrating that significant vocal impact can be achieved through dynamic control, modulation, and sheer projected energy, not just through maintaining a consistently low pitch. His vocal signature is really his masterful modulation, his ability to vary his pitch, his pace, and his volume dramatically to match the emotional arc of his message.
So he has a deep voice, but he doesn't always use it low.
He has a naturally deep, somewhat gravelly baritone voice, yes, but his real skill lies in his ability to fluidly shift his vocal qualities. He'll use a low, resonant, authoritative pitch to emphasize serious points or build credibility. Then he might shift to a much faster pace and a higher pitch range to build excitement, urgency, or enthusiasm. And he uses strategic pauses very effectively, too, to let key ideas land with impact. It's this constant vocal variety that keeps his audiences engaged, often for very long periods, preventing listener fatigue or monotony.
So his pacing is also incredibly strategic, but in a very different way than Jones or Freeman. He can go from really, really fast to suddenly very slow and deliberate.
Indeed. Robbins exemplifies the principle of variable pacing for maximal effect. While he is famously known for speaking very rapidly at times, often to convey a high volume of information and maintain high energy levels, he also strategically slows down, sometimes to almost half his normal speed, for crucial moments or key takeaways in his presentations.
Why does that work so well?
It's the contrast. This sharp contrast between the fast pace and the slow, deliberate segments makes the slower statements incredibly impactful and ensures absolute clarity on his main points. It demonstrates effectively that powerful pacing isn't necessarily about being consistently slow. It's about being appropriately paced for the desired effect at any given moment. It's about knowing when to accelerate and when to hit the brakes.
And he famously brings a lot of physicality to his vocal delivery as well.
Yeah.
You get the sense it's a full-body experience for him, not just something happening in his throat.
He absolutely does. For Robbins, vocal delivery is clearly a full-body endeavor. He seems to understand intuitively, or perhaps through training, that vocal energy is a direct extension of physical energy and presence. He's known to prepare for his demanding seminars with intense physical rituals designed to energize his body and mind.
And that comes through.
Yes, this heightened physical state is clearly reflected in his powerful, enduring vocal output. He can maintain that energy for hours. Furthermore, his consistent use of open, expansive, confident body language serves to reinforce the authority and conviction conveyed by his voice. It's a fully integrated, high-energy performance.
So if we quickly compare these three master vocalists, Jones, Freeman, and Robbins, we see very different yet equally powerful paths to achieving vocal excellence. But they all seem rooted in control and authenticity, finding what works for them.
Exactly. It's a perfect summary. James Earl Jones embodies authority primarily through profound bass pitch, exceptional chest resonance, and meticulous articulation, likely honed from overcoming his stutter, resulting in unmatched gravitas and power. Morgan Freeman represents wisdom, cultivating deep laryngeal relaxation, perhaps through techniques like yawning, combined with precise diction, leading to a trustworthy, warm, and incredibly clear narrative voice. And Tony Robbins exemplifies dynamic energy, employing masterful modulation of pitch, pace, and volume, all fueled by intense physical energy and presence, creating motivation, urgency, and engagement.
So the lesson for us.
The lesson for you, the listener, is that these masters show there are diverse paths to vocal excellence, but all of them are rooted in fundamental principles of control, self-awareness, breath support, resonance, clarity, and ultimately finding an authentic expression that aligns with your message and personality. The techniques we've discussed today, like conscious relaxation for Freeman or developing chest resonance like Jones or varying pace like Robbins, are directly applicable tools for your journey.
What's absolutely critical for our listeners to understand now, as they embark on this journey or continue it, is the importance of navigating any vocal modification safely. This brings us to our clinician's guide, reminding us of that fundamental principle. First, do no harm.
This is perhaps the most important section of our entire deep dive. Pursuing a deeper voice, or any voice change, must be undertaken with an unwavering commitment to vocal health. Forcing the voice beyond its natural healthy capabilities is not only ineffective in the long run, but it can lead to significant and sometimes even permanent damage. And that is completely counterproductive to your goals of having a strong, effective, sustainable voice.
So what's the absolute biggest mistake people make when trying to consciously force a deeper voice? What's the main thing not to do, and why is it so damaging?
The single most damaging action someone can take is to consciously and forcefully depress their larynx to push their voice box down in their throat in an attempt to create an artificially deep voice. You might see people tensing their neck muscles to achieve this.
Why is that bad?
This practice creates immense strain on the delicate vocal folds themselves and on all the surrounding muscles. It's simply unsustainable physiologically. Any perceived deepening of the voice will be temporary and sound unnatural or strained. And, most importantly, it will almost certainly result over time in vocal injury, completely negating any supposed short-term gains. It's like trying to make a guitar sound deemer by clamping down hard on the strings with pliers. You'll just damage the instrument.
And what are some of the common negative outcomes of using improper technique like that, beyond just not sounding right? What kind of actual injuries can occur?
One of the most common outcomes of chronic vocal strain from improper technique is a condition called muscle tension dysphonia, or MTD. This is a voice disorder caused by excessive and inefficient tension in the muscles surrounding the larynx, the extrinsic muscles.
That's that happen.
Regularly speaking at a pitch that is unnaturally low for your physiology or speaking with excessive effort and pushing forces these supporting muscles to work way too hard. This leads to symptoms like a voice that feels constantly tired or strained, a sensation of tightness or a lump in the throat, and sometimes even actual pain or discomfort when speaking. Importantly, MTD can occur even when the vocal folds themselves look structurally normal on examination, indicating that the problem is purely functional tension.
And if that chronic strain continues, it can lead to even more serious physical issues, right? Like actual visible damage to the vocal folds themselves.
Unfortunately, yes. Chronic vocal strain from consistently forcing a lower pitch or using other improper techniques can eventually lead to physical trauma to the delicate tissues of the vocal folds. This can result in the formation of benign lesions growths, such as vocal nodules, which are like small bilateral calluses, often on the midpoint of the folds, or polyps, which are more like unilateral blister-like growths, or sometimes cysts, which are fluid-filled sacs within the fold.
And those affect the sound.
Absolutely. These growths physically disrupt the normal, smooth vibration of the vocal folds, leading to symptoms like chronic hoarseness, breathiness, a rough or gravelly vocal quality, and reduced vocal range. In more severe cases, these conditions may require medical intervention, including voice therapy and sometimes even surgery to remove the lesions, which is obviously something we want to help you avoid entirely by practicing safely.
Definitely. Now, I've also heard some frankly questionable advice floating around about strengthening your neck muscles to get a deeper voice. Is that actually helpful, or is that another one of those counterintuitive traps we need to avoid?
This is a widespread and very harmful myth that needs debunking. The idea that you should strengthen your neck muscles, like the sternocleidomastoids you see bulging when you turn your head, in order to lower your pitch. From a clinical and physiological perspective, this advice is completely misguided and potentially quite harmful. Because those large neck muscles are extrinsic laryngeal muscles, they attach to the larynx but are outside of it. Increasing their tension, strengthening them for voice, is a direct cause of muscle tension dysphonia. The goal of healthy, efficient voice production is actually to relax these external muscles as much as possible. This allows the small intrinsic muscles located inside the larynx to do their precise work of adjusting pitch and vibration, powered efficiently by breath support from the diaphragm. Tensing the neck literally constricts the larynx and inhibits free, healthy phonation. So please be very wary of any advice that encourages active pushing, straining, or strengthening in your throat or neck region for voice modification.
That's a really critical warning. Relaxation, not tension, is key.
Yeah.
So how do we develop what you referred to earlier as kinesthetic awareness, that ability to actually feel what's happening inside our body so we can monitor our own vocal health effectively and prevent injury as we practice?
Developing that ability to sense subtle feelings inside your body, particularly in your throat and chest, is absolutely crucial for preventing vocal injury during practice. It's essential to learn to differentiate between the feeling of healthy, productive effort and the feeling of harmful strain.
What's the difference? How does healthy effort feel versus harmful strain?
Healthy vocal effort, the kind that supports a strong, resonant voice, should primarily be felt low in the body specifically, the gentle engagement of your abdominal muscles providing that breath support we talked about. The sensation in your throat, neck, and jaw should ideally be one of openness, ease, and relaxation, almost a sense of spaciousness.
And harmful strain.
Harmful strain, on the other hand, is characterized by feelings of tightness, constriction, scratching, soreness, or even outright pain located directly in the throat, neck, or jaw area. The golden rule is, if any exercise or attempt at a new vocal placement causes any discomfort or tension in the throat region, stop immediately. Your body is giving you vital feedback that something isn't right. Listen to it.
Okay, listen for physical sensations. And what are the warning signs our voice itself might give us, the sounds we should listen for, even if we don't feel immediate pain?
Yes, in addition to those physical sensations, the sound of your voice provides very important clues about its health. Key warning signs of vocal strain or potential problems include persistent hoarseness or a rough, raspy vocal quality that lasts for more than 2 weeks without a clear cause like a cold.
Okay, persistent hoarseness.
Another common indicator is vocal fatigue. Does your voice feel tired, weak, or effortful after only a short period of use? Frequent voice breaks, unexpected cracks, or a wobbly or quivering sound in your voice can also be signs of trouble. Similarly, a persistent breathy or weak quality to your voice, where it feels like air is escaping, shouldn't be ignored. These are your body's, and your voice's signals. Pay attention to them. They're telling you something is off balance.
To help our listeners keep track of these crucial signals and monitor their practice safely, we put together a quick vocal health self-assessment checklist. Can you walk us through that?
Sure. This checklist can be used as a regular self-monitoring tool, maybe after each practice session or at the end of the day. Ask yourself, 1. Throat feeling. Does it feel relaxed and open, healthy or tight, scratchy, sore, painful, or like there's a lump? Warning sign. 2. Voice quality. Is it clear, resonant, and easy, healthy? Or hoarse, breathy, cracking, weak, or choppy? Warning sign. 3. Location of effort. Do you feel the effort mainly in your abdomen diaphragm area, healthy, or primarily in your throat, neck, jaw, or shoulders? Warning sign. 4. Vocal endurance. Does your voice feel strong and capable after use, healthy, or tired, weak, or strained? Warning sign. 5. Pitch stability. Is your pitch generally stable and controlled, healthy, or do you experience frequent wobbles, shakes, or unexpected pitch breaks? Warning sign.
And the takeaway.
If any warning sign category is consistently present during or after your practice, it's a strong indication to stop that particular exercise, rest your voice, and carefully reevaluate your technique. It might mean you're pushing too hard or doing something incorrectly.
That's a great practical tool for self-awareness and prevention. But what if those warning signs persist, despite adjustments, or if someone just wants professional guidance from the start to ensure they're on the right track and practicing safely? When should someone consider consulting a professional?
That's a great question. Professional guidance is truly invaluable for safe and efficient voice modification, and it's absolutely essential if any problems or persistent warning signs arise. Please don't hesitate to seek expert help if you have concerns. It's an investment in your vocal health.
Okay, who should they see? What's the role of a speech-language pathologist, often called an SLP, in this process?
Speech-language pathologists, or SLPs, are the primary clinical professionals specializing in the assessment and treatment of voice and communication disorders, including voice therapy. An SLP with specific expertise in voice disorders can conduct a comprehensive evaluation of your vocal function, provide a personalized regimen of exercises tailored to your specific voice and goals, and teach you techniques for healthy, efficient voice production.
They can help with voice modification goals specifically.
Yes, they are trained to treat voice disorders like muscle tension dysphonia, but they also work extensively in areas like professional voice use and gender-affirming voice care, guiding individuals through voice modification in a way that aligns with their personal goals while always prioritizing long-term vocal health. The American Speech Language Hearing Association, ASH, provides detailed clinical practice guidelines for voice treatment, representing the standard of care in the field.
And what about an otolaryngologist, commonly known as an ENT doctor? When should we see them?
An otolaryngologist is a physician, a medical doctor, specializing in disorders of the ear, nose, and throat. If a voice problem is suspected, particularly if there's hoarseness lasting more than a couple of weeks or other concerning symptoms, an ENT is the professional qualified to render a medical diagnosis regarding the physical health of the vocal folds.
How do they do that?
They can use specialized procedures like videolaryngosstroboscopy, which involves a small camera, to visualize the vocal folds vibrating in slow motion. This allows them to identify any underlying pathology, such as nodules, polyps, cysts, paralysis, or inflammation. Ideally, you'd see a laryngologist, which is an ENT who subspecializes specifically in disorders of the larynx. An SLP will often work closely in tandem with an ENT to provide comprehensive voice care. The ENT handles the medical diagnosis and treatment, and the SLP provides the behavioral voice therapy. They really complement each other.
That makes sense. So finally, when do these symptoms cross the line and become serious red flags that require immediate medical consultation? What are the really serious signals that absolutely shouldn't be ignored or waited out?
There are certain symptoms that should prompt an immediate consultation with a medical professional, usually starting with an ENT. These include any hoarseness, roughness, or other noticeable change in your voice quality that persists for more than 2 to 3 weeks, especially if there isn't a clear reason like a recent cold or allergies.
Okay, persistent voice change is key.
Yes. Other significant red flags include persistent throat pain, particularly if it occurs even when you're not speaking. Also, any difficulty swallowing, coughing up blood, even a small amount, or experiencing a complete loss of voice that doesn't resolve quickly. Please, don't ignore these potentially serious signals from your body. They require prompt medical evaluation to rule out any significant underlying conditions.
Crucial advice. Thank you. Well, we have certainly journeyed through the intricate architecture of your voice today, haven't we? From the breath-powered engine in your diaphragm, up through the vibrating vocal folds, and into the resonant chambers of your vocal tract that ultimately shape your unique sound.
Quite a journey.
We've explored the fascinating psychology behind pacing and silence, looked at practical exercises for cultivating depth, resonance, and control, and we've even drawn inspiration and lessons from vocal masters like James Earl Jones, Morgan Freeman, and Tony Robbins.
And critically, we've really underscored the absolute importance of prioritizing vocal health throughout this process and knowing when it's wise to seek professional guidance. Because the ultimate goal of this deep dive, really, isn't to force you to sound exactly like someone else. That's not authentic and likely not healthy. The aim is to empower you with the knowledge and tools to discover and refine the most powerful, resonant, and truly authentic version of your own natural voice. It's really a journey of refinement and unlocking potential, not one of radical reinvention.
Beautifully put. So, as you, our listener, reflect on everything we've covered today, our final provocative thought is this. What subtle shifts, what small conscious changes will you begin to make to unlock the true potential of your own command voice, making every word you speak count just a little bit more?
Maybe just think about one small step you can realistically take today or this week. Perhaps it's practicing one of those foundational breathing exercises for just 5 minutes. Or maybe it's consciously deciding to practice using a strategic pause in your very next conversation.
Your voice is a unique and powerful instrument. It's waiting for you to learn how to play it with skill, with intention, and with confidence.